Hey, we don't have time for that. We've got a lot to cover in today's video. Five Nights at Freddy's is an indie horror franchise made by Scott Cawthon and has some pretty confusing lore. In this video, I will try to solve the lore and put it into a mostly coherent timeline. Note that the video will only cover the games and some of the content from the Tales books, so no novel trilogy or the Fright series, nor the movie. Also, this is all theory, so don't take this into account of being the actual timeline, as the lore will pretty much never be solved. With this out of the way, let's get into it. In the late 70s to the early 80s, Henry Emily and his good friend William Afton found Fazbear Entertainment and make a small diner called Fredbear's Family Diner. Both men were mechanical geniuses and made two spring lock suits that can be worn like a costume or be an animatronic. These suits were a rabbit called Spring Bonnie and a bear called Fredbear. The success of Fredbear's leads to a sister location being opened called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Success, however, doesn't change how a man thinks, though. William Afton, despite being a wealthy man and a family man, was a psychopath. Henry knew this, so he built the security puppet to protect his daughter, Charlie. One night, however, Charlie was locked outside of the pizzeria when she saw William, she thought she'll be okay. But William murdered her in cold blood. The puppet eventually finds Charlie outside and begins to break down in the rain. Charlie's soul then possesses the puppet. The crying child was at home when a shadowish figure that resembled Spring Bonnie appeared outside of his window. He followed the shadow to his friend, dead outside the restaurant. William then returned to the restaurant and wore the Spring Bonnie suit and murdered 5 kids, causing a missing children's incident. William put the victims in the withered animatronics, which then caused them to possess the suits. William felt too much adrenaline and created Circus Baby and the Funtime animatronics for more victims, and opened a new restaurant called Circus Baby's Pizza World. One day, though, William's daughter, Elizabeth, went to see Circus Babies against her father's orders. Elizabeth died, and when William couldn't find her anywhere, he knew how big his mistake was. He shut the restaurant and forbid his sons Michael and the crying child from seeing the animatronics. Somewhere else, Adrian Murray, a Fazbear Entertainment engineer, builds the Mimic 1 to take care of his son while he's working for Fazbear Entertainment. One day, however, while everyone was working on the Mimic, David is hit by a van and tragically passes away. Everyone is in depression for 2 weeks. After that, when he saw the Mimic mimicking David's hand movements, Edwin bats the Mimic 1 with a metal rod until it's destroyed. The Mimic remembers this violence and carries that for years. Months later, part of the Fazbear team go to Edwin's warehouse and find the Mimic. They repair its legs and the Mimic murders the team. Another team comes but is also murdered. Another team comes and make it out alive. The Mimic is remade and put into every location. Remember this, because this will actually be important. Unlike everything else. The crying child disobeys his father's orders and continues to see Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. This enraged his father, who punished him by, during every night, bringing him to his underground workshop and filling the room with hallucinogenic gas to make his son see twisted versions of the characters he knew. To torment him even more, Michael and his friends put him in Fredbear's mouth at his birthday party, which was at Fredbear's. The tears from the crying child caused the mouth to snap shut, resulting in the bite of 83 and the crying child's death. The crying child would have nightmares of the past nights with a new animatronic nightmare until he finally succumbed to his injuries. William is furious at Michael and destroys Fredbear and starts drinking as a result of the deaths of his 2 children. Fredbear closes down and Henry splits from William. William is convicted under the suspicion of being the murderer behind the missing children's incident, but is released because of the lack of bodies. Henry makes all the animatronics in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza have a security system and makes new toy animatronics of the main cast. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. Toy Foxy is pulled apart though, and all the employees stop putting it back together and call it Mangle. Henry places the security puppet in the prize counter, still unaware who's possessing it. William hears about the upgrades. He gets the first night shift under the name Dave Miller. William finds and wears the Spring Bonnie costume again, murdering another 5, and this time the 5 possess the toy animatronics and Balloon Boy with the help from the puppet. The mix sees William's murders. Now remember this for later. The place closes down a few days after another party and the Bite of 87, where Mangle bit down on Jeremy Fitzgerald. The toy animatronics were scrapped and the Willard animatronics were transported to the new Freddy's location and fixed up. William is once again convicted but released because, no bodies. William leaves town and goes under the name Bill A. He finds a woman, they get married, and they have a daughter named Vanessa. The relationship goes sour and Vanessa is manipulated to defend her father in the custody battle. William sends Michael to retrieve Circus Baby from his other place, Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals, and after a few nights, Michael is scooped and possessed by Enid. Michael then throws up Enid in a gutter and still, for some reason, lives. Michael then works at Freeze until he's fired. William, now realizing the animatronics are possessed, goes to extract Remnant, which is essentially a totem of undying. He destroys the animatronics and injects himself with some Remnant. This results in the souls being released. William, mortified by what he is seeing, climbs into the old Spring Bonnie suit, and, because of the water leaking from the roof, dies from a spring lock failure. Henry then closes the restaurant and makes Lefty to capture the puppet, which stands for Lure, Encapsulate, Fuse, Transport, and Extract. 30 years later, in 2023, Fazbear's Frights is open, and Michael is employed to work there. William reawoke after the 30 years of being trapped. Michael realizes this and is terrified of what his father has become. The spirit of his younger brother gives Michael nightmares reminiscent of his own experiences. Michael eventually gathers the courage and burns the place to the ground, but after a lengthy fight with William where Michael hit William in the arm with a fire axe. All of the spirits except for Cassidy, who is the other child possessing Fredbear with a crying child, and Charlie rejoice that William is burning. Michael was soon approached by Henry to run his own pizzeria and forms Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. Lefty captured the puppet around this time. Circus Baby was ejected from Enid and formed Scrap Baby, while Enid formed Molten Freddy. William rebuilt the part of his suit that was damaged in the fire, fixing the feet but keeping the mouth mostly damaged, but making 2 buck teeth. Michael checked the alleyway and found William, Lefty, Scrap Baby, and Molten Freddy survived until Saturday, when everything ended. William entered where Michael was and started bashing his head into his monitor. Then, out of nowhere, Lefty barges through and fights William. It's William versus Charlie. Michael tries to flee through the vents, but William gets the better of Charlie and goes after Michael. Then
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth, if you still even remember that name. But I'm afraid you've been misinformed. You are not here to receive a gift, nor have you been called here by the individual you assume, although you have indeed been called. You have all been called here, into a labyrinth of sounds and smells, misdirection and misfortune. A labyrinth with no exit, a maze with no prize. You don't even realize that you are trapped. Your lust for blood has driven you in endless circles, chasing the cries of children in some unseen chamber, always seeming so near, yet somehow out of reach. But you will never find them. None of you will. This is where your story ends. And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you. Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be. I am remaining as well. I am nearby. This place will not be remembered, and the memory of everything that started this can finally begin to fade away, as the agony of every tragedy should. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole, so don't keep the devil waiting, friend. My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms, the way you lifted others into yours. And then, what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms. This ends, for all of us, in communication.
Henry sets the place alight with everyone still inside. William tries to grab Michael's leg, but then Michael sees his deceased mum and siblings. William yells at Michael to get over to him to finish him off, but Michael walks into the light. William is burning and his soul isn't going anywhere good, but Cassidy had other plans to torment William in his own personal hell with all of creations, and adding Dee Dee to have for him fend off even more animatronics until Cassidy met Old Man Consequences, tells Cassidy to leave William to his demons and that she can rest her own soul. With Henry gone, Fazbear Entertainment doesn't know where to go. They have zero money and are about to go bankrupt. Meanwhile, a game developer makes a few games based on the myths and events of the pizzerias. Fazbear Entertainment takes notice of this and talks to the developer, and they agree to make a VR game. To make production of the game faster, Fazbear Entertainment scans in old circuit boards. One of these circuit boards that was scanned was from the spring bowling suit that William wore. The board was scanned into Help Wanted, and a game tester named Jeremy starts seeing a glitchy rabbit entity, which is a combination of William and the Mimic 1 code, known as Glitch Trap. William's thoughts and actions were being mimicked. Vanessa, now a young woman in her 20s, has a growing concern for Jeremy until one day she walks on him dead. Vanessa starts playtesting where Jeremy left off, after learning that the game developer was employed by Fazbear Entertainment. Meanwhile, Fazbear Entertainment sends a cleanup crew to ruin Frey Fazbear's pizza place. While working there, a few men bring an endo with rabbit ears. They code the endo to dismantle the remaining animatronics. However, the endo with rabbit ears gets corrupted by the glitch trap virus, as well as the violence that it has witnessed, and murders the entire cleanup crew, but was sealed off by Concrete and other crew members. This endo was the Mimic 1. Mr. Burrows, a Fazbear chairman, orders the construction of the Storyteller, an AI to write stories. The Storyteller is connected to all the venues in the new Pizzaplex. Edwin, who is somehow still alive, investigates the baobab tree of which the Storyteller resides in. He discovers the Mimic 1 code is the program used by the Storyteller. Because the Storyteller is tied to all the venues, Glitch Trap takes over the glamrock animatronics like Monty, Chica, Roxy, and the prototype Freddy. Edwin eventually dies from suffocation in the tree due to a lack of ventilation. Mr. Burrow looks in the same tree but also gets stuck, unable to exit, just like Edwin. The tree is taken down shortly after, but the damage has already been done. Vanessa sees the glitch trap and has her mind taken over. Meanwhile, Gregory, a child, has his mind taken over by glitch trap as well after playing a Balloon Boy arcade game that was infected by the virus. Vanessa goes to see therapists, but lies about her life, and when the therapists get close to discovering the truth, Glitchtrap takes over Gregory and he murders them. Vanessa then makes the Vanny mask and suit and goes on a murder spree in the newly built Frey Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. Meanwhile, many of the stories of the Pizzaplex occur, and Gregory escapes Glitchtrap's mind control when his friend Cassie plays the Balloon Boy arcade game with the Glitchtrap virus and beats it. One night, Glamrock Bonnie was lured into Gator Golf, where he was then dismantled by a prototype Glamrock Freddy, with Monty witnessing the events. Monty used the splash buckets to knock off the prototype and Bonnie off the catwalks, resulting in Monty becoming the main bassist and Bonnie becoming a discontinued member, along with the prototype Freddy being replaced with a brand new version. This is why Monty skips band practice to go to the catwalks, because he's looking for Bonnie. After all, he didn't have his claws yet, and he didn't see Bonnie fall. Before her rampage, Vanessa is told words in the voice of her father, William.
Are you ready?
Gregory goes back to the Pizzaplex and hides in Freddy, who had a system malfunction earlier which might wiped the glitch trap virus from his system and put him in safe mode. Gregory, knowing that there's something wrong, destroys the other Glamrock animatronics and uses their parts to upgrade Freddy. During all of this, Gregory finds and plays arcade machines named Princess Quest 1 and 2. He avoids Vanessa and Vanny and finds her hideout. He sees the third arcade machine in there, and he and Freddy attempt to stop Vanny, but Freddy is disassembled. Gregory races to play the third game, and he succeeds, freeing Vanessa from Glitch Trap's control. Vanessa knows something is causing this, and she and Gregory, along with the head of Freddy, travel down to the remains of the pizza place. The three head into the sinkhole where Tangle is. The three then fall further down into a room where Henry was all those years ago. Suddenly, out from the charging station came an animatronic, part machine, part human. It was the remains of William, with the glitch trap virus in the circuitry. It was the mimic's attempt to become and rebuild William. Vanessa and Gregory fend off Burntrap with the working mechanism to light up the place on fire. The fire reawakens Tangle, which grabs Burntrap and lifts him up. The trio escape the building and sit on top of a hill. Tangle escaped by tunneling through the Pizzaplex, putting it in ruin. Vanessa and Gregory return once again to the site of the Burntrap battle and find no remains of William. The two venture further down the building to the lower levels. The two eventually find the Mimic, and they both seal it off and repurpose the Vanny Mask and system to make a system called Mexies to mess with the Mimic code and set boundaries for the entity. Long after, Cassie returns to the Pizzaplex to look for Gregory, as he apparently is missing. She finds Vanny Mask and uses it to shut down the Mexi system, the instructions of Helpy and to free Gregory. Unbeknownst to her, she frees the Mimic, which was mimicking Gregory. She tries to escape and makes it to an elevator. She gets in contact with Gregory and he explains everything. The intercom glitches out and the Mimic cuts the wire of the elevator, which sets the elevator falling down to the ground. And that's all for this video. I might do more storyline, timeline, and more videos, as I always feel good about the final results of these types of videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time for another gameplay video or video essay. Peace!